just completed. That's why these tanks are still here also. They're capturing flowback, and those dehy units are knocking off water, taking it back and disposing of it or storing it in the 2 trucks back. That will not stay long term. This is a well that has just recently been completed.
This is the Russo well, by the way.
The heaters
Springville.
are... Yeah, exactly.
Now we can look at the
the heaters are the square boxes, so you can see through it. Yeah. Each one will have, you'll see 5, right, you'll see 5 emission stacks coming off of them. You should see 5 solar panels, because these wells are always they're always talking to our headquarters in Charleston, West Virginia, where we have gas supply. So 24/7 these wells are being reviewed by somebody. Now this gentleman that's here today,
So what are the solar panels for?
they're providing energy, or excuse me, the power to send all the transmission and the data back to Charleston. So, because they're not big enough for us. And then our sites will be bigger.
You can put bigger panels on there.
Right.
Now what's coming out of those stacks, George? I mean,
I would have.
What's your guess?
You're seeing what would normally come off a gas furnace. So that's the kind of emissions you're coming off of a heater from the gas. So the question was, why are we heating the gas in the summertime?
Right, there's an odor to you.
The question was, why you heat the gas in the summertime?
This is 300 feet from some homes, constant.
Right now, it will freeze off. Even though it's at surface,
I'm sorry,
it's 80 degrees. The question was, why are we heating the gas now? Because this gas is coming up at such great pressure. This was just recently completed. It will freeze off if you just let it come up by itself. It'll come up so fast, it will freeze off on the way up.
And is that the noise we're hearing of the heaters?
That's the noise of the heaters that are running.
And eventually, as the pressure decreases,
You don't need to run the heaters. Now you will in the winter time,
right.
So you'll hear that also. But those dehy units, the dehy units I pointed out are the cylinders that are those green cylinders are called dehydration. They're taking water out of the gas. They are here temporarily to take and separate water into both of these Baker trucks. This water will then be transported out of here, recycled, and then we will reuse it. The water that comes back that goes into the brine tanks, we will capture, take it off here also. They have a gauge inside. They tell us when they're full. We have a truck that comes, takes that water off, and also then gets recycled, and then we reuse it.
How does this equipment know what water to put in the wrong tank?
Right today, the question had to do with how do you know what water from one to the other? Long term, we're going to take off the dehydration unit. So right today, that would be phase 1. The gas would be going through the dehydration units immediately as it's coming up right now. Then it goes from the dehy into the brine tanks if there's water left over. What we know, because of this being just recently completed, your mixture of water is going to be higher right now. In brine or flowback, they're the same word. Brine and flowback are the same thing. Go ahead.
Well, it's confusing.
It is confusing because
the flowback is coming out with the gas.
Correct.
It's going first to the
dehydration, right?
And then either it can go that way to the flowback tank, or it can go this way to the brine tank. How does the machinery know which way to send it?
Okay. And what I'm saying is the gas is coming up. It's taking steps. It's coming out of the wellhead over there. Okay. Its first step is to the dehy. The dehy strips it of the water it can get off of it. It's one phase. It then goes to the next
and
heater.
That water goes where?
To those 2 tanks right there. And that is a temporary situation because these wells were just completed.
These tanks.
So that will not be here long term at all.
Going to the brine tank.
It says flowback.
No.
Flowback.
Again, I'm back to steps. So I'm gonna wring out the gas first, what I can get out with my hand. That's what, if you would, the dehys are doing now. It then goes into metering, gets warmed. If there's additional water in the next step, it goes into the brine tanks. So it's a phasing of where you are in the process. So the gas doesn't. It's going to the dryer, absolutely. So So the water never has a choice of, do I go this way or do I go this way?
So the flowback goes from the wellhead to the dehydrator.
Correct.
And then to the heater.
Yep.
And then
To brine.
so it's not going to that tank.
No, I'm sorry. I'm missing you along the way. Because the gas is coming out of the well and it's carrying water with it. It goes into the dehydration unit. That water gets wrung out. It goes to the flowback tanks here. Those ones on that side.
Okay. And there's still water where?
Where's the gas go then?
The gas goes into the bathe, into the heaters. Okay. And now there's going to be additional water stripped off in the dryer, and it goes to the brine tanks.
Oh, the gas goes into the heater?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, I see.
Yes, ma'am.
And it still has some water in it?
Correct.
I see.
So you're going to get the first phase of water is going to be hit by the dehyes, separated off. Within, and I don't know the time frame, but if you would work with me, say within a week's time, you're now producing gas out of there that doesn't have a preponderance of water. You can take away those dehydration units, then you'll run it straight through the heater, and whatever water's left over will go to the brine tanks. But we now know, because this well was just recently completed, you're going to bring more water than you normally would long term. So in the very beginning, when this well was completed, you're talking about 90% of what was coming up was water and 10% was gas. So what we're doing then is we're taking all that gas through channeling, and it's going straight to Baker trucks like this, and then we recycle that water.
And where is it taken? I know this one.
Right. It's we passed it on our way here. I showed it to Vera.
Yeah, the treatment center on 29.
Right. And Hibbert, you said?
At the Hibbert well site, near the Hibbert well site. But we stopped for a little bit, and there was a house. I was pointing to him. That's it. Behind that is a treatment plant. It's like
where there was a spill.
Yes,
okay.
That's the one. Yeah. Hibbert and Allen is the family, I think, in the front. Hibbert in the back.
That's where the water's being processed.
Correct. That's
now,
a mobile unit, so we're able to move it.
What happens with? I mean, it's a closed loop system. So, is there any byproduct of it? Is there anything that has to be hauled away?
Yeah. What'll happen is when you're bringing back the water, you will bring back particles of dirt from in the hole in the shell itself. So what the first phase at the location is a centrifuge. So you'll spin the water and you'll throw out the solids.
And where is that
then goes to a landfill. That is occurring right off of 29.
Oh,
like a
Susquehanna.
sludge.
Right.
Like a sludge.
Right. Exactly. Sludge cake. Exactly. So then we dispose of that sludge cake in a landfill.
now what are we smelling here? When we smell stuff, do you pick up anything? Because I know you're used to this stuff.
I guess I am.
So you might be immune.
Yes. Okay.
Does it smell like gas? But gas has no smell, supposedly. What?
Well, yeah, you might not smell. You might smell like diesel gas or something, but you shouldn't
No,
smell.
it's that natural gas smell that you get.
There's
you
no.
know.
Well,
there
could we
should
be?
no natural.
Well,
right.
is there any benzene coming out of here at all? None, zero.
I would
when
say
you-
there's. I can't imagine there being benzene coming out of here.
Is there any hydrogen sulfide in this gas?
I can look into that. I don't know that answer.
You see those white
Hydrogen
containers?
sulfide, isn't that what's coming out of
Yeah.
the wet gas in like western Pennsylvania? Yeah. I
Smells
can
like
answer your
rotten egg.
question. No. The answer is no. This is
You've never experienced
right. This is pipeline quality gas, so we don't have to knock off any condensates. So we're not seeing that.
So it could be burning as is.
As is, absolutely.
That's what you're doing.
Correct. That's right.
Now, what's in those white containers?
That is windshield washer fluid. So that
Oh.
becomes an antifreeze.
That's the antifreeze?
facility. Right.
Okay.
The brine water is then collected in the same place where the flowback goes. The brine water goes for recycling, and then we reuse it at the next location.
This is the brine water in these tanks right here. These are called the condensate tanks.
No, they're not called condensate tanks.
No
they're
more?
called brine tanks. We don't have condensate tanks here at all.
What about
Western.
Carter? What about Carter Road? I thought that you called those. Everybody called that the condensate tanks.
No, those are brine tanks.
Not condensate.
That's on the pad.
The hill here, I assume, is stored topsoil.
Right.
At what point do you start reconfiguring this pad?
You'll start to bring that topsoil down. You'll pull this site, this edge back,
sort of start leveling it
gentle roll, and bring the topsoil back in.
and maintain this as
Correct.
working.
Yeah, you'll probably go from like here, give or take over. because we will have to. I mean, you need to have a big enough site just in case you have to